All right, we're back, and Max Con in the director's chair has a lot of responsibilities right now, and I'm kind of giggling about it. So excuse that. So we're ready for our top four. We're gonna move into the Jund Shadow Mirror on that side of the bracket. So we have our deck lists ready to go. Let's cross our fingers and hope they come up. And there they are. Ben Jones with Jund Shadow, who we just watched. Probably what we're going to be looking for here are differences between the two lists. So we have here the 2 Lavamancer, 4 Hex Drinker arrangement with 2 Battle Rages. I think we can that's probably the standout cards that aren't obvious 4-ofs. Yep. And then let's look at what Ben Jones is facing. Devon O'Donnell, and okay, this is significantly different.
Yeah, this is a lot different. We have a Krueger. Krueger is going to be a big deal, I think.
We have Swift Spears. We have this is
wow. Okay.
This is dramatically different. This is more like, I would say, the red-black shadow deck splashing Tarmogoyf.
Yeah, exactly. And we can see both players have 2 Teamer Battle Rages for game 1. But I think we'll actually see them both boarded out. I think we'll see both of them board them both out, I suppose is the best way to phrase that. Because Teamer Battle Rage, while it might seem like it's really important because maybe you're just goldfishing, you're not really, because you're sort of trading 1 for 1 a lot. And what's going to happen is you're going to end up with 1 card in your hand. It's going to be a Teamer Battle Rage, and your opponent's going to have an extra creature than you, right? And like if you're hitting for 10 or whatever, and it's not like, and that isn't the game, like that's very, very rare, Swiftspear is interesting. I think that it's probably also one of the things that will disadvantage Devon in this matchup, if I had to guess, just because it's one of the weaker threats just on rate. But I'm interested in
I agree with you on that, and I even more so because Swiftspear is good at getting early damage in, which I feel like is actually not something you want to do.
Yeah,
just in general,
it's going to be a weird dance because you do for Scourge, but you don't for their Death Shadows. There's a lot of factors at play here, and it's like, before Scourge, it's like you do want to hit them because you want to kill them, but you don't want to hit them because of Shadow. But now you want to hit them because you have Scourge in your deck. But like they might just hit themselves anyway, and it's like it's going to be a delicate dance, and it's going to be really cool to watch. And we see Ben keep his 1-lander. I actually like keeping 1-landers a lot in these mirrors where resources are super important.
Experience probably matters quite a bit as like we were saying, how you pace the game here is going to play. Have a big outcome on the value of the different cards, and wow, Devon O'Donnell's hand is not quite up to par.
Yeah, that is not a good hand.
He will be able to cast anything he draws, though, which Ben Jones may not be able to do.
Yeah, I mean, for similar reasons that I like keeping the 1-lander, like I just like having 7 cards. Inquisition is a pretty good draw. I'm interested that Devon got a mountain on turn 1. I guess he probably just doesn't expect the Death Shadow to live. The Death Shadow probably almost never lives, so it's probably worth it to just not have to shock yourself on turn 1, I suppose. But yeah, it's going to be a big deal on basically if Ben hits on this draw step. It's not over if he bricks, and it's not a guarantee if he doesn't or whatever. But it's every turn that he bricks will have more and more impact, I guess. Or the first turn has the most impact, and then the second turn is like.
All right, so we're taking here, we select Thoughtseize, and then we attack and... Okay, so if that fetch land wasn't drawn, the Death Shadow would not have been castable without the attack. But there was an attack, and there also was a drawn fetch land. So, okay, no, Devon O'Donnell takes no punishment whatsoever for that decision. Not that he deserves it, it was just something that could have been considered.
I assume we'll see Tarmogoyf come down here. It's just the biggest creature. It's the most mana efficient play because next turn you'll be able to. I guess Scourge could be bigger. I could totally see an argument for playing Scourge or Goyf here. I want to play one of the 2 drops so we can double spell more easily next turn.
Yeah, I agree with it playing it too. Okay, I mean certainly there is the option of playing the 2 creatures instead. I mean this is okay too. Death Shadow is actually the same size as the Scourge of the Skyclaves would have been. So.
Yeah, I don't mind this play at all, actually. Yeah.
This totally getting the Lavamancer established means that the answer to Lurrus is already on the board, so I guess that's something.
That's true, and if we draw a land, we get to double spell, and if we brick, we get to play push plus, or pass with push up or whatever, plus Lavamancer activation, both of which are really good. So actually, I think this is right. Ben has played a lot of Death Shadow in his time. believe Ben is a Grand Prix champion. I believe with Death Shadow. I'm not 100% sure on that, so I would definitely defer to his.
Well, if that's true, then I'm sure he'll appreciate coming back after the day's over and listening to our commentary of incorrect things
Yeah, just
while
like
he
the
bashes
like,
his
well,
opponents.
maybe this would work, And we're kind of just saying random things. So
All
I
right.
can't imagine we're gonna bolt this Monastery Swiss Spear. So
Yeah.
please don't prove me a fool, Ben. I have to imagine that if we're gonna kill it, it's gonna be the Lava Mancer.
Right. I would, yeah, but probably, I mean, I think what we're expecting is probably attack with Death Shadow and play the Scourge, and it'll be gigantic.
Yeah, that seems to be the default play, right? Like Scourge
Yeah.
is gonna be if assuming that Devon doesn't block. It'll be an 11-11, which is
Yeah.
obviously massive, and Devon will need a fatal push basically immediately.
Yeah.
And we know 3 of the 4 cards in Devon's hand are Swamp, Death Shadow, Luris, and so he's had 2 random draws at basically exactly fatal push.
Yeah, even if he has one, it's not like he's in good shape.
Yeah, he's still very far behind. And even if we bricked on the second land, I think we would be totally fine. Like a lot of the spells now we hit and we're seeing like the upside, right? But the worst case scenario is like we just kind of play one spell a turn for a little while, and like it's turn 4, and Devon sort of had his first good turn of just like playing a Death Shadow and a Tarmogoyf, and I don't know, he just hasn't really done that much in the early turns, and you can kind of see Swiss Spear in these Death Shadow decks is more of an enabler for Scourges and Skyclaves than it is really a standalone threat like it can be in Burn, or is it Prowess or something?
Right. Yeah, this is just, these Swiss Spears are not worth a card at this point. I mean, I
No,
guess
they're nothing really.
that one just prevented 11 damage, which that's great and all, but that doesn't actually solve any of your problems.
Right. I mean, it's a chump blocker.
Yeah.
It's not super valuable. Yeah, and so Ben just passes with push plus either Bolt or Lavamancer activation available. I wouldn't have. I guess we want to Lavamancer the Luris if that comes down, so that makes a lot of sense. We don't really need to deal. We don't need to do anything to the Swiss Spear. It doesn't really matter. And I still will be pushing the Tarmogoyf. I guess we might push the Death Shadow at some point.
Yeah, I mean, there's really no need to push anything except for the fact that we want to be able to use our mana next turn if we want to play Tarmogoyf. So yeah, you're right. We're gonna push something, and it's just a matter of. I mean, ideally we'd probably want to wait for a Scourge, but we can't really do that because if there is one, it's coming down this turn anyway.
Yeah, it'll come down this turn pretty likely. Although the push is face up, so maybe it won't. But the game is being closed pretty quickly here. It's not like we're going to need it for the Scourge because the game's going to go 10 turns. It's like this game the window is narrowing for how quickly it'll be decided, right?
If nothing happens, is it possible that Ben Lavamancers himself? I feel like it probably isn't, but it's
now
something
Lurch happened.
Yeah, now it's definitely not going to happen. But
before maybe
it grows your shadow.
I would expect that not to be the
it's irrelevant now.
Yeah, at this point, it's not thing really.
Yeah, now the Luris is down, so
remember that Tarmogoyf can go back to 5/6 by just sacrificing the bauble that we put back into play. At really any notice. So we're going to attack with the 4/5 in quotations Tarmogoyf, or not. You can hold back. That's going to grow the Death Shadow too large. Okay, so on the board we could trade off these Death Shadows, but there's a fetch land on the board, and so Devon can go to make his Death Shadow a 7/7 if he wants to. But we can also bolt ourselves or bolt his Death Shadow. So we have a lot of ways to actually get the trade-off.
Right, okay.
And I still will see pushing Tarmogoyf here, or pushing Death Shadow here rather, because it's bigger. And we really want to use our mana so we can play all of our spells on time, I guess. So yeah, we're going to push Death Shadow. And now if we draw fetch, okay, P-Land is pretty good because we just get to do either Bolt plus Lava Man or play Tarmogoyf, or we can like level our Hex Drinker or something.
Yeah.
Oh, we're gonna just kill the
Devon's empty-handed, so the Swift Spear, there's no risk there. Swift Spear gets picked off, and now we are forcing done.
Yeah,
forcing chump block while taking 4 or 5 damage. That's not recoverable.
It was actually lethal, I think. I guess we just don't use the fetch land. We don't have to use the fetch land, so yeah, we just end up chumping there and go to 2. So
yeah,
we can get the deck list up here for the Gen Shadow players.
All right, so Ben Jones up a game in rather one-sided fashion. Certainly in part because he didn't draw any Monastery Swift Spears, and in part because he's not playing them.
Yeah,
So
Monastery Swift Spear is definitely going to excel when you're like goldfishing. But in the more in the Death Shadow Mirror, it's just so easily outclassed. We can get back down to the game though, I believe.
All right. So this hand looks pretty fine.
I can't imagine we're going to mulligan this hand.
No, I wouldn't think
it's sort
so.
of an attrition-y matchup, and we have some of the better cards, which are just the 2-mana really heavy hitters like Tarmogoyf and Scourge.
Yep. And this Scourge, I mean, yeah. I'm still not quite adapted, even though it's been around for a while. I'm still not quite adapted to the fact that it's Death Shadow that you can play on turn 1 if both players fetch.
Yeah. I mean, if you had a Simian Spirit Guide, I guess.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not quite a Death Shadow you can play on turn 1. But it's certainly one you can play on turn 2.
Yeah.
I should just stop talking, because obviously I don't love being corrected for saying dumb things, but that's just every time I talk, that happens. So this is my own problem. I need to stop talking.
I do the same thing. It's really easy to miss stuff like that. Dude, you can't even Simian Spirit Guide a Scourge anymore. They banned it. It's literally not allowed.
Yeah.
How unlucky.
See, I knew that, though. That was your suggestion, not mine. All right, here we go. Game continues. Devon O'Donnell on the board with the Tarmogoyf.
Yeah, so it may look like we can Lightning Bolt this Tarmogoyf. We cannot. If we Lightning Bolt the Tarmogoyf, there'll be an instant in the graveyard. The game will try to check damage, and they will see Tarmogoyf as a 3/4. So
that was great when that used to happen.
Oh yeah, nobody really does that anymore, but it was a thing that like new players would get caught up on a lot. I'm sure some people do, and they're new to Modern or new to Magic or whatever. But it's a 2/3 Lightning Bolt. No.
So this Tarmogoyf, however, could attack into, or I was going to say, if Devon has his own bolt, he could, or an instant, he could try and force a trade there. Instead, he's just got, or not, it wouldn't even be a trade. Dismember first, Thoughtseize second.
Yeah, nice sequencing. Normally, it's good habit to play Thoughtseize first and get more information, but that would put a sorcery in the graveyard, and then we would try to dismember. So it is a very good thing that Devon did not do that, because then the Tarmogoyf would be a 5/6, and we could not dismember it. So good thing. It's the mark of a player who knows what they're doing for when they deviate from like habits like that, like Thoughtseize first, get more information, right? And they know how to do that without really much hesitation.
All right, so Scourge of Skycleaves goes to the graveyard. Death Shadow, the smaller cousin, stays in hand. And Tarmogoyf will swing over for, was that 5? Yeah, that's a considerable chunk of damage.
We're not 100% sure if we're attacking yet, right?
Yeah, I thought about that too.
Okay, so
if the shadow was the only creature in hand, I would say we don't. But since there's Tarmogoyf also, then I think we do.
We just have lethal, right? With the second bolt.
Yes.
Okay. Dubs, I guess.
All right. That ends that one. And
what the heck?
Ben Jones advances.
Okay. Fair enough, I guess. Normally it's a little grindier than that. But Devon went to 6 to develop a Death Shadow, made it a 7/7, and then died.
Yeah. Well,
he saw his hand too.
He did. He thought he saw one bolt, and then the second bolt was drawn, and that was it. And that's All right. So we'll see if the Green White Heliod semifinal is ready to go, and it is.
Okay. Both game 1 here. Both players have Heliod that is active as a creature. From just kind of eyeing it, I would guess that Owen is ahead because he seems to have more stuff. But Conclave Mentor advantage goes to Travis. And Conclave Mentor is going to be really important on this board because anytime that they gain life, you can put 2 counters wherever he wants. Okay, Arbor Elf was presumably the draw for this turn. Not particularly impactful. I can't imagine either player can attack on this board. The Heliod as an indestructible creature is probably just too much, and they're going to gain too much life to really justify it.
Yeah, that all sounds reasonable. So you're going to get everyone watching is going to get full value from this round, as we already saw an entire match, and these players are in game 1, and this game 1 doesn't even look particularly close to over with, barring a Ballista top deck. But if you're enjoying the coverage, and you're not currently a follower of the Nerd Rage Twitch channel, get on top of that.
Spike Feeder would be good here too.
I believe we said, or we were told heading into the top 8 that Nerd Rage is 40 followers short of 9,000. We would love to hit that today. And maybe we can, maybe it's already happened. Maybe in the last half hour we already got there. But if not, get on that. Get that done for us. Anyway, back to the game. Both players exchange land drops. And now, no other developments. Spike Feeder.
That is a phenomenal draw, because now with the Conclave Mentor, what Owen's going to be able to do here is he's going to make the Spike Feeder infinitely large, and then he can move the counters from Spike Feeder onto all of his creatures. All of his creatures will be infinitely large, and all must be chump blocked.
Yes. So we're not
literally dead.
Well, yeah, we're not
because we only have 6 attackers. But
we're not.
All of Travis's creatures are going to go away.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to need to draw Ballista, basically.
Yeah, and just for clarity, we're not moving the Spike Feeder counters with the Spike Feeder's ability. We're moving the counters by gaining life and using Heliod to put the counters somewhere else. So the effect is the same, but we're not using it using the Spike Feeder itself, in case there's any confusion there. And that's it.
Maybe a little bit of a preemptive concession there, if I had to guess, just because like we could draw Ballista, right? I mean, maybe both Ballistas were in the graveyard or something. We just got there, but I'm pretty sure we could just. He had 6 attackers. We had 6 blockers. Block 6 times. Leave our Heliod in play because it's indestructible. Untap. Maybe the top card of our deck is Ballista, or maybe we had Ranger Captain mana. I don't know. I didn't count. Probably not, because that's like
there was a lot of mana there. There might have been.
You would need 9 mana.
All right, so we have deck lists ready to go. Again, as we did similarly in the other half of the bracket, we're going to be looking for differences in the deck lists. So what are the kind of the malleable cards in these lists? You played a lot of this matchup.
Yeah, first thing that stands out to me is that Owen only has 3 copies of Skyclave Apparition. Usually the player with more will be advantaged in the matchup, although Owen does have a 4th one on the sideboard, so it's not a huge deal. I would expect Owen to maybe board out some or all of his Auriok champions, and then potentially some number of Ranger captains. I've seen some people cutting company. I've been okay cutting company, boarding in like a lot of paths and deicides, and we can see Owen does have 3 path, 2 deicide, and it's kind of hard to get a configuration where you have 5 non-creature removal spells in your deck and the 4 Utopia Sprawls and sufficient collected company hits. Maybe Owen's got a way that he likes to sideboard in the mirror. Or maybe he just thinks that Collected Company is a really good, not like a tutor, but like a way to help piece together the combo. And so even if you don't get full value off of it, finding your specific pieces like Heliod is just so important. Maybe that's something that he values. Yeah,
it's kind of like you're just digging for it, and if you don't hit it, it's even if you don't get full value, you're closer to finding it in the future.
Yeah.
So let's look at
Heliod. It's so important to have in play.
Let's look at the other list and see what are we looking at that is different. We have 4 Skyclaves main deck here, but like you said, the 4th is on the board, so that's irrelevant going forward.
Yep, and only 3 Auriok champions, so I believe that we had 3 Auriok, 4 Skyclave versus 3 Skyclave, 4 Auriok. Not a huge deal. I think everything else is more or less the same, if not probably not exactly the same, but pretty similar. The sideboard is a little different, with 4 Path to Exile, 1 Deicide, as opposed to 3 Path, 2 Deicide. Not a huge deal there either. Deicide is going to be a pretty big haymaker because it's really hard to win without a Heliod in play in the mirror, especially without an Archangel of Thune, which neither of these players has brought today.
Is Archangel of Thune, would you classify that as kind of like just an option card, or would you say there's like a divergent build of the deck that contains that?
I would personally say it would be divergent at this point. I played with some Archangels in a PTQ last weekend, and I was not a fan at all. They were good once when my Niv Mizzet opponent played an Unmortigo on me named Heliod, and then I drew my Archangel of Thune and just got to combo them anyway.
That's nice.
But Niv is not super popular. Not going to be getting Unmortigoed game 1 too much. Owen has a great hand, and we can see why he hasn't lost a game yet.
Yeah.
We have turn 2 company into turn 3 company.
Yes, this is tremendous.
Yeah, and then is, just how you draw it up.
Yeah. Wow. Okay, so Arbor Elf and Utopia Sprawl. This is true. Okay, so we see Travis has a Utopia Sprawl, but without the Arbor Elf, he's accelerating into turn 2, but 3 mana and 4 mana is a very different number, as Collected Company tops out the curve in both decks, and Owen's going to be cheating massively as far as getting that off.
Yeah, I mean, this hand is really the payoff for playing Sprawl Elf over Hierarch and Birds, like some people choose to do, is you get these really explosive turn 2s. With Birds of Paradise and Noble Hierarch, a turn 2 Collected Company is impossible. It's not something you can do. But if you get a hand like this, it's turn 2 Collected Company to turn 3 Collected Company. I mean, that's insane. And turn 3 Collected Company on the draw a lot of the time. Maybe if we're playing Birds and Elf, we played Bird. Travis could untap and Skyclave Apparition in.
Yeah.
And then maybe we just oh wow, we just drew the best haymaker in the matchup also. So we just have everything.
Well, I mean, we wouldn't want to draw the creatures off the top because we can get those with company. So we may as well draw the removal spells.
Yeah, so I mean, might as well just draw perfectly, right? Like
all right. So this will fall apart somewhat if there is a Skyclave to take out this elf, and there is not. Oh okay. Boy.
I mean, sometimes you just although we may see a cost to having Deicide and Path to Exile on our deck post board and leaving the companies is maybe our hits are going to be lower. Maybe one sits in Arbor, maybe one even bricks. We'll have to see.
Right. I mean, maybe that's where the cost benefit comes in there. Yeah, maybe among these 18 cards, we're only going to get 5 creatures instead of 6.
Yeah, right. But no, for real. Like maybe we cast a company here and it hits an Arbor Elf and a Conclave Mentor. That's pretty good, I guess. But maybe it hits just an Arbor Elf. That's pretty bad. Like just a Conclave Mentor. When you only have I don't know exactly how on sideboard, I can't say for sure. But maybe when you only have 20 creatures or whatever, maybe I could see, but I'm not going to try to look at his deck and count out his company hits while he's fetching.
All right. So let's just hypothetically, while we're waiting for this company to be cast, if we hit Skyclave Apparition, are you hitting the opposing Utopia Sprawl or the Conclave Mentor?
At this stage of the game, I'd be really interested in going after the Sprawl. We're so far ahead with our companies that the only way that Travis is really going to be able to catch back up is with... okay. Fair enough.
This dramatically changes the scope of Owen's turn.
Yeah, I mean, because the Path gave us a land, we will still have company next turn. But we get to Ranger Captain for Ballista here. But yeah, I definitely wanted to hit the Sprawl if we hit Skyclave that turn.
Yeah.
Mentor is really important in the mirror because making your creatures infinitely sized is a huge deal, like we saw last game. That's what it came down to.
Mm-hmm.
But because we were so far ahead on tempo, just keeping Travis off of a turn 3 Collected Company of his own would be my preferred play if we were.
Wouldn't this be something if Travis takes out the Utopia Sprawl here and Owen doesn't get to cast company at all?
That would be crazy if we just play a Skyclave Apparition or company into Skyclave Apparition or something, and then we just have all our companies stranded in hand. But that appears to not be the case. Although, okay, so now we're faced with a decision. The company could easily brick, and then if Travis has a Heliod as his last card in hand or his draw for turn, all of his creatures are suddenly infinitely large and attacking us for infinite damage, which is obviously really bad. But the Skyclave Apparition can save us from that. Because Travis only has 1 card in hand, I'd be really interested in just going for the safe play and then just casting companies when there's not much risk to it.
Well, not much couldn't we also be safe if we held up company mana and then just play Deicide if Heliod came down and otherwise played company?
So because the Spike Feeder has 3 counters on it.
I'm sorry, you're right. I missed it. It had 3 counters.
Yeah. That's one of the things that Conclave Mentor also does is having 3 counters in your Spike Feeder lets you beat a removal spell a lot easier.
Right.
But yeah, if it had 2 counters, you could just pass and have the option of Deiciding. But at this stage, the Deicide would you would play a Deicide and then Travis would just combo in response.
Yeah, no, you were absolutely correct. I spaced on that. Okay, so Travis with 1 card in hand. Owen,
we have 5 cards and 3 of them are Collected Companies, and one of them is Deicide, which is I believe our 1 of Deicide, or maybe 2 of Deicide. I forget which one had 2 and which one had 1. But yeah, I mean this hand is it's gonna be tough to beat, and Travis now knows that it's 5 spells because Owen did not play a land this turn, so he's got to be terrified with only one card in hand against 5 spells and being behind on board. He's gonna need a lot.
And his card in hand can't be that great because playing the Spike Feeder last turn is not like exciting.
No, so not really.
Wasn't anything better.
So I assume we just drew this. We drew this canopy. Maybe we had the canopy and we're cycling it. I don't know. Travis is gonna need a company here. If he does hit Spike Feeder plus Heliod, he does have 2 infinitely large creatures, but will then get Deicided. Oh man, how great would it be if we go for the Sprawl?
Get the Sprawl, yeah!
Because we know he doesn't have the land. He
doesn't
land drop. And the 3/3 doesn't do that much. There's some temptation to go for the apparition, get a 3/3 of your own, and try to win the board back. But if you're so far behind on cards, you could make an argument here to go for sprawl. I don't know if it's the correct play, but I would love to see Travis go for the sprawl here.
Yeah.
I think that would be really cool.
Yeah, it would definitely make the game continuing on exciting because these three companies, I mean, unless just there's a glut.
So he decides to. He does decide. He thought about it there. I think it's pretty clear that he was not going to target the Ranger captain. And so there was some thought to it. And fair enough. It's totally reasonable to try to win back the board here. But I think it would have been really cool if we had.
No, I understand. It's understandable, but it would have been fun for us to see that sprawl get picked off and then Owen not draw a land.
Yeah, and that's just such like a high risk play too, because like Owen could just draw the land.
Yeah.
and then you did nothing, but you don't know Owen's hand. You don't know how many companies he has in hand or whatever. So can't blame him for that play at all.
But the risk, like if that happens, we do nothing. But we're hitting a Skyclave apparition. I mean, we didn't do much anyway.
That's true. Yeah, we only basically put the board we are now ahead on board for a few turns, maybe one or two turns, because we know that Owen has 5 spells in hand, one of which is a Walking Ballista. Okay, I assume we're just going to cast Collected Company here. Probably just main phase, so we don't get interrupted by Deicide if we were to hit the nuts.
Sure.
But even then, you can stack the Ranger Captain to force the action on a removal spell, and then you can combo in response to it.
Right, you might,
So I do not want to attack here, I don't think, because then I don't really want to trade our Ranger Captain, which is slightly more valuable than an illusion for an illusion.
Well, you might as well, if you're going to protect your company with it, you might as well attack first.
Well, you don't know if you want to protect it or not. Because you don't know if you want to hit you don't know if you're going to hit the combo.
Well, if you don't know that, then how would you know that you want to? I understand. If you think you might protect it, then what are you saying?
Well, I'm saying if we hit Spike Feeder plus Heliod, we want to sack the Ranger Captain. But if not, we don't. So we can cast
before we decide to attack. Before we use the first activation. I got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because there's nothing that he can do. He can't mana-tithe your company or anything.
No. Yeah, I got it. I was confused as to why we would want to get the creatures on the board before deciding, but you are absolutely right. Yeah. Okay. So, Travis, a couple cards in hand, ahead on the board, sort of. Not even really able to push through meaningful damage. And with the full knowledge that Owen's hand is stacked with cards. They're all spells.
Yeah, I mean, we know now that Owen has 6 spells, so it just has to be company. There's no way that Travis can think that he does not have company at this stage of the game. There's no... But what you can do is you can say, well, I can't beat a company, so I'm just going to hope your company bricks. You know what I mean? Like, you probably boarded in Paths and Deicide. I'm going to hope you hit an Arbrel for something, and I'm just going to try to out-tempo you. 2 companies, going to be pretty hard for that to brick. Decides to send it only a 3/3. Respectable play, but yeah.
It would be nice if we at least had more than one attacker here. This is...
Yeah, I mean, the T2s can't even attack on the board with the Ranger Captain.
Yeah.
So, like...
Yeah.
You know. That it wouldn't make any sense to attack with those unless you plan on killing the Ranger Captain.
No, I'm not saying we should attack them. I'm just saying it'd be nice from Travis's point of view if we had more than one creature that could legitimately attack here.
Yeah, I agree. I wish that we actually had a way to make it so maybe Owen dies with cards in his hand as opposed to... just a Conclave Mentor. So... Okay. And that's not even like punishment for boarding and removal spells. That's just 4 lands of sprawl and and that that's the downside to the sprawl elf thing that we were talking about. That with the sprawl elf thing you get the explosive turn 2s, but we could have had a Bird's Paradise in play, and a 5th mana here maybe means that we play Heliod plus pass with Deicide up. Maybe we don't do that play anyway, but an extra mana is better than nothing, I think.
Yeah.
So there's definitely some give and take. One is not clearly better than the other, in my opinion.
So this is what Travis needs. Travis needs these companies to not be great, and that's one out of the way. But even Travis can't give Owen enough time to cast all 3 companies. But at this rate, it looks like he's going to have it.
Yeah, the thing is that Travis hasn't been able to apply sufficient pressure.
Yeah,
and so Owen, because he just had such a better draw, he's just going to be able to play all his cards and. pretty likely. I mean, we're gonna take this hit, go to 12, and then we're gonna play another company. We'll take another hit and go to like 7 or something if he plays another creature or whatever.
If
And we'll play
yeah,
on,
and
and
that's
then we'll play our
if we
third
don't.
company. Like
That's if we don't find things to block with off the companies.
yeah, it's and almost certainly like we've bricked down one company. We have 2 more companies here. Like
Yeah, just don't shuffle in between, and you should be fine. This is definitely one of those spots. One of those spots where if you draw a fetch line here, you do not want to fetch to thin your deck.
yeah, normally it's good to understand like people think that fetching to thin is like just a decisive thing, but if you scry like at all, then it starts becoming bad, right? So it's like
Right.
it's such a small thing to begin with, but it's like people don't really uh, fully understand what they mean when they say it a lot of the time. Like
Yeah.
it's thin, but like well, like I know the bottom cards of my deck. And that's actually one of the things that I like on Arena that Moto doesn't have is you can just
Yes.
look at the bot. I think that's awesome. I love being
Yes.
able to know. I actually had a match in the sealed PTQ thing where I I mulliganed and I bottomed my 7-drop giant that returns all non-giants, and it was my only out, and I almost got to it. And,
Uh-huh.
I had a oh man, it was really close. I had a 50-50 shot. The 2 cards over it, one was a behold, which could hit it for
Sure.
me, and another was
Yeah.
like a land or something. Okay,
All right.
so we don't want to use this Vista. Like
There's
we're
a land for Owen. Right. Both players had a land this turn. Travis's is disappointing. Owen's is doesn't matter a whole lot. I guess it's a way for him to screw up, but looks like he's not gonna. Oh, he's not even gonna go for it. Okay.
yeah. I mean, passing with Deicide up makes it relatively safe. It's somewhat of a consideration that Travis could have a Skyclave Apparition in hand and he doesn't want to use it on the Conclave Mentor or something, but I think that's probably unlikely. I think Travis's card is probably a land or a company that we'll see fired off here. Yeah, this seems fine. It's unlikely that we get comboed through Deicide here, although I suppose if we were to company into Spike Feeder plus Heliod, the Spike Feeder would enter with 3 counters, and we would be able to beat the removal spell.
So Travis draws again. Yeah, we just need. I mean, he doesn't have to combo to win the game or anything, but he needs to make progress.
Yeah, I mean, we can't just sit here and let Owen cast the spells that we know that he has in hand. It's just not reasonable. But sometimes you're forced into that. Like that, sometimes you just have to. Like you can't apply sufficient pressure. It's just not possible.
Mm-hmm. I suppose another attack with a 3/3 is okay. It's not. It's probably not a huge risk of Owen fetching to activate Heliod because both of those are risky.
Yeah, if there's really anything that we want to do with this mana,
Apologize for Max Khan, who is running the show, and perhaps wishing the players were playing at a little faster rate here, but here we go. Attack coming in.
yeah. So I would expect to see block and lifelink here. I know that we would shuffle in the
Really?
4 non-creatures. Yeah, I don't mind that.
Because
I mean,
doesn't that also if we fetch at all or activate or anything, then a Deicide wipes out our Heliod. Aren't we kind of in trouble? I mean, we're still fine,
yeah,
but
Deicide always wipes out our Heliod, right?
well, no, because before that we could respond by casting our
you
own
want
Deicide
and leave the 3 in our deck. I
Yeah.
didn't think about that. That's a fair point. And it's probably good to have Deicide up in case his last 2 cards are just Spike Feed or Heliod or something. So and the 3 life is not super important. So that makes a lot of sense to me.
So here we are. We did fetch. So the deck is reset, and we had 5 cards shuffled back in that weren't ideal.
I like that Owen's just playing this like super safe. I mean, he
Yeah.
knows that he's so far ahead that he just wants to make sure that he doesn't get comboed. He has Deicide up. He has Skyclave, so he doesn't get the creatures aren't going to be infinite size. And now that the Conclave Mentor is gone, the removal spell is actually live because again, if the Spike Feeder just came in 3 counters on it, the removal spell doesn't do anything. That's one of the strengths of this deck and what makes it more resilient. Okay, well that's likely to get decided if I had to guess.
Mm-hmm.
This passes the turn. Travis could theoretically be representing Collected Company here, but it doesn't make much sense. Okay, so we don't go for Deicide. Fair enough. Are we just going to go for the Ballista combo here? Yeah, we should just go for the Ballista combo here with double lifelink now, right? So
I like this, yeah, because there's this way.
yeah,
I mean,
he can't win. Right? He only has one spell in hand, and we have a removal spell beat, so it's just kind of locked.
Yeah, and we can't get burned up by a company response for anything here.
Oh, we actually don't beat a removal spell, right? Because we kill it now. Yeah, so that was actually really heads up timing by Travis because we wait until we remove a counter, and now we can't go again. So even though we have 2 instances of lifelink, the Path to Exile. Okay, so now we're just going to Deicide the Heliod, so we don't get comboed. P-Tarts is still very far ahead. That was cool, though. That was really good timing by Travis. I initially thought that was going to be a guaranteed win because we had 2 instances of lifelink, but that's a good call. All right. But Owen is still extremely far ahead here with 2 Collected Companies and Heliod's left both in play and in his deck, and is ahead on board, but is down a critical 4 life. 12 to 16.
That's not gonna last long. As with the counter too, then Skyclave becomes a 4/4 with the Conclave Mentor doubling up and swinging for. And the way that Travis has had so little going on. This might be enough to just take it down anyway. No combo required.
Yeah, okay, so this Ranger Captain can get the second Walking Ballista if it's still in the deck, which I assume it is. It also gives us enough devotion that Heliod is now an eligible attacker. There's a lot to like about Owen's position here.
You think?
So not only do we have the combo rolled up next turn, we also have another Collected Company if we want to do that. Not only do we have the board massively far, well, not only are we massively far ahead on the board, we just have really everything. There's nothing that can be done at this point.
Mm-hmm.
We get to give our Skyclave lifelink here and put 2 counters on something. Sure. Grow the Ranger Captain. Why not? Can't really think of a good reason to grow a particular creature. Maybe Arbor Elf because it's an additional creature that's bigger.
Right.
If
you can grow another creature to your opponent's life total, that's nice. But that's really being picky for the sake of being picky. Because
it really I don't blame Owen for being checked out of this game, right? Look at it with that opening 7 with the Deicide draw as the 8th card down, it was just okay. Obviously it's turn 9 and we're still playing, but we both knew that P-Tarts was a heavy favorite with that draw. And I believe that Owen has won this match 2-0 if assuming this game does end in his favor, which would mean he's in the finals without having lost a game. He did take 2 intentional draws, but okay, so now we have enough mana to go Heliod. Yeah, okay. Game is over. I guess there's 1 card.
We can win out with Ballista. We don't even need Heliod.
Oh yeah, we just cast Ballista for 3. Sure, that works. Yeah, there's really a number.
Yeah, or use attack. Yeah, whatever. We've reached the end of the game.
Yeah. So I believe that Owen has not lost a single game.
Yeah.
That's actually crazy. Hasn't lost a game. And is now in the finals. That is super, super cool.
Well, in the finals, he'll be facing Jund Death's Shadow. So we will have that ready to go in a few moments. As soon as, this match is now done. All right, here we are. I want to remind you guys, 1, it'd be great if you liked the channel, follow the channel, whatever the terminology is on Twitch. I can't remember for some reason. 2, our next event is Legacy. It's in only 2 weeks. It's April 3rd.
Soon.
It is soon. This is the tightest window we've had in a while for our events. Same structure as today, 2,000 in prizes. We're playing Legacy this time. So if you don't have your own Legacy collection, but you want to play, we have the Card Hoarder Weekend Pass that they established for us for our events. So it's $10. You can run a 500 ticket deck on anytime between Friday and the rest of the weekend. You can exchange the cards back and forth. You want to try out some different options. And then the cards are due by Monday morning. So that's available. There's also a more expensive option if you want to be able to get a more expensive set of cards. So, we've got 1 more match left to go today. We're going to step away for a moment. Before we do that, we have Jundeath Shadow and Green White Company. Will, who's going to win?
I would bet on Owen. I think that Green White Heliod is going to win.
All right. We'll come back and see if that's actually the case. We'll be right back.